Hey, welcome back to Just Another Opinion Review. And I have a special guest today. He is the man who knows everything about Uncharted. He has platinums in all the games.
Except for two of them.
Except for two of them?
Yeah, one I didn't play, and I didn't like.
What's the second? Oh,
I didn't like Lost Legacy. And
the Vita one?
Yeah, I didn't get to play Golden Abyss.
Yeah, we don't count the Vita one.
But it's got plot.
Jacob, welcome to the show. Hey.
Hi, how's it going? I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad.
I watch all your episodes.
I know you do.
So how does this work? I've never seen any of your shows.
You've been a part of this before.
Have I?
Yeah, you were part of the Darling in the Franxx one.
Sure. I didn't know that was just an opinion review.
Yeah, that was just an opinion review.
I was not aware of that.
I'm pretty sure it was.
I don't think it was.
So you're not. You haven't been part of the rebranded version where I just kind of give out the plot points, and then I just kind of give my opinion at the very end of if I liked it or not and stuff I like.
Okay.
But so we're doing Uncharted. The movie starts with our protagonist Nathan in a plane crash. Well,
it's a cargo plane, and like all the cargo's flying out of it, and we don't know what we know what the cause is. Nathan.
So Jay, if you want, when we get to certain points, you can go, well, that didn't happen, or not like that.
I'll try my best to point out inconsistencies.
Because I don't know. I've only played Uncharted 4, and I couldn't get in it. Well, I played the Vita one. Couldn't get into that one. I played the first one. Couldn't get into that one. But, yeah, so then we flash back to when Nathan's with his brother Sam, and they break, they're at some...
They're at the orphanage, and I think this already is contradicting the fourth game, because, like...
No, I do think they were in an orphanage.
No, they were. It's just Sam leaves because he's getting arrested, and then just kind of leaves Drake there. But in the game, they leave the orphanage and then they go to the person who bought all their mom's stuff.
Oh, that's
right. And they're getting ready to steal it back, and then she just shows up, has a heart attack after calling the police, making it look like a homicide, and then they just kind of ride off into the sunset.
But so
that doesn't happen in this.
Yeah,
Sam just kind of leaves, and
then it goes to present day, which isn't really present day, but it's probably like 2 weeks prior to the events of the plane.
Yeah, where Nathan works at a bar now in New York.
You know what I was gonna do? I was gonna look at the credits because I wanted to see who that blonde girl in the thing was. So I have to imagine that was like.
I think that was just a blonde girl.
Oh, I have to believe they're probably like, oh, well, we won't say her name, but she's Elena.
Maybe.
So Nathan is
he's a pickpocket.
Well, he's a bartender.
Working at a bar.
Yeah, he works at a bar, fancy bar, and he comes across Sully, and then Sully's like, hey, whatever.
I know your brother or something. Hey, let's go to an auction. By the way, I need you to come up with a plan.
Yeah, and so then Nathan somehow he's like no, and so he ends up pickpocketing the guy where Sully lives, the ballet park guy, the bouncer, and then he breaks in. So he's like, I knew you were gonna do that.
That's why I'm shirtless. That's why I'm in my tank top, so you could see my boobs.
So yeah, he tells Nathan that his brother worked with him, and then there's a key, a cross that they had to find. So
they don't have to find it; they have to go get it.
Yeah,
it's conveniently at an auction house.
Yeah, so they go. Shit goes south. Nathan ends up fighting a bunch of guys. He fights this guy. He looks like John Goodman, but he's Irish or Scottish, whichever.
I think he's literally credited as a Scotsman.
Okay, so he probably. But Nathan gets his ass kicked. But
and this whole scene is just almost a 1-for-1 of the auction scene from the fourth game.
Yes,
except with him not being able to cut the power.
So Sully ends up getting the cross, and then they
head to Barcelona. They head to Spain.
Yeah, because now we meet our other person, Chloe, because she has the other cross, and so Chloe's like,
yeah,
well,
you get it? It's a double cross.
yeah. Chloe is like probably one of the more annoying characters in this. Not for anything she says, but just like the amount.
I'm gonna betray you. Okay, hey, I'm gonna help you again. I'm betraying you.
Okay, I'll help you again. Okay, I'm betraying
hey, look,
you
another betrayal.
It's like, how many fucking double crosses can you have? So
a lot, actually.
So they end up working together. They find out that they have to go to this nun place.
They have to go to a church, and one person. It's a trial for two people at least. One person has to go to heaven, which apparently means leaving the church
And going to Papa John's.
Yeah, and going to Papa John's, while the other person has to go to hell, which means go to a nightclub.
Which then leads into underground.
Which leads, under a fountain, like the storm drains. So, like, the city should know about it, but we're just gonna gloss over that one. So you turn the person who goes to hell turns the key in the roof, which starts up what looks to be like a clock tower, even though there's no.
Which is kind of reminiscent. I can't say the word of Uncharted 4, the clock tower.
Yeah. And so when they turn the bottom key, it starts to flood, meaning that they had to trust the person who's up in heaven to go to Papa John's and turn the key there. Sully goes to Papa John's, gets in a scuffle with I think her name's Braddock.
Yeah.
And it's really dumb. Like, really dumb. And so he turns the key, he saves them. And Chloe almost drowns, but Nate's a good guy and he saves her. Then he has to convince Sully to drop his key down the storm drain so he can put it together to make a ladder, or something that looks like a ladder, so he can turn the next key and or the next door. And they get in there, and it's just 4 urns of salt. Just salt everywhere.
Yeah, and then this is where we find out that Chloe is but this is where she portrays him
the second
time, and so she knocks him out. Sully comes down, and Chloe tells Nathan, like, hey, ask Sully about your brother. And then so when she knocks him out, Nathan comes back. Nathan's like, oh, what about my brother? And Sully's like, oh, well, he's dead. And Nathan's like, well, you should have died with. He didn't say it, but he's essentially saying, you should have died with them. And so
you should have tried to help him.
So they end up somehow. So there's a guy who wanted the key, the cross, and so this guy hired both Chloe and Braddock's.
So his backstory is he's like the descendant of the family of the pirates, or something like, I don't know. He believes that this treasure is his birthright because of his lineage. But yeah, no, he's hired both of them, and he didn't tell either one of them because that's good business. And so he's loading up his cargo plane, and I don't know how Nate and Sully find out. I think they just kind of bumble on it. So they hide in the trunk of his really shitty Mini Cooper, or whatever the fuck he's driving, that he's bringing in the airplane for some reason. I don't know. So now we're on the airplane, and we get to find out why all the cargo's flying out, and it was Nathan.
Yeah. So before that, Braddock's killed the guy, and so Braddock's like, well, I'm the boss now.
And everybody's like,
and somehow they're just like, yeah, fuck, forget Chloe. But then they're like, oh, we gotta kill Chloe. So it didn't really make sense.
Well, she kind of snuck out after she slipped.
Oh, well, they didn't really show.
Yeah, that was kind of bad, but anyway.
So Nathan is like, oh, wait, Brax, you killed my brother? Because that's what Sully said. And so then he makes it all cargo go, and then, the car flies out. Picture the scene from Uncharted 3 with that.
It's just the scene from Uncharted 3, except over water instead of a desert.
So, Sully had flown out. So Sully's kind of out of the picture for a while of the plane. And then Chloe ends up saving Nathan, gets him on a cargo. And
saving is a strong word. It's more of happenstance, because she got in the car and drove out and then ran him over while he was climbing back into the cargo. And then they jump onto a box and they pull the parachute there.
Well, so I think the box didn't have a parachute on it. I think she took her parachute off.
Oh.
And threw it on the box.
Oh, I just assumed the box had the parachute.
Because that's what because when I just thought of this just now, because I was like, wait, she has the parachute too. But I'm like, when they're going down in the box is going way too fast. But it was end up slowing the speed in the water. And so then they come to this island. They meet they meet the voice actor for the Uncharted.
Meet Nolan North, and he doesn't sound like...
He's like, you fell out of a plane? I fell out of a plane too.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
And so Nathan and Chloe are like, okay, all these postcards are going to say something. Well, then Chloe gets tired after,
5 minutes of looking.
All these postcards also came from Sam. So Chloe's sleeping, and then Nathan's like, he doesn't say it, but he's like, I'm going to test Chloe. Because once he finds out that the two are compass.
We got to explain that bullshit. So
you explain it.
So the two keys, there's a red key and a blue key.
Which are the crosses.
Yeah, and on the map, there's a red circle and a blue circle. Which means you put the keys on those circles and you just kind of like turn them around. And wherever they meet up is where the treasure is. But you can do that anywhere.
Right.
Like, you can make it meet you can make it meet in at least 2 spots. So, Nathan's just like, well, let me just write down some coordinates that are kind of close.
And Chloe gets up and she's like, oh, well, I'm going to double cross you again.
Traitor a third time.
Because Nathan, he had a look on his face like, I could just walk out of here right now. And you won't even know. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to leave these coordinates just to see. And
so she's out of the movie now. She's off and wherever.
Well, she's going to the coordinates now.
Yeah, she's going to wherever the hell he sent her.
Which is funny, because Nathan should have sent her like somewhere on the other side. But yeah, I guess they had to bring her back somehow.
Yeah, I'm thinking if he had sent her too far, it would have been like, oh, he's trying to traitor me.
I don't think so. I think she would have just gone for it. But so Nathan ends up getting to the cave, finds the 2 boats, and finds the gold, and then Sully shows up.
Sully's been tracking him the whole time since the church, because Nathan put an app on there to be like, yo, Sully, you can trust me. Here's my number. Here's how you can follow me. And
then this comes where the most bullshit of the movie. Braddock, sees Nathan, and she ends up bringing up. Basically, somehow they just know that there's a cave, and they're like, okay, we're gonna bring these boats that are stuck in this cave out, and we're gonna fly them up with the helicopter.
Which is kind of reminiscent of the scene from Uncharted 1 where they're pulling out the El Dorado, which was bullshit, by the way. But no, this is even more bullshit, because this is an actual pirate ship being airlifted by a helicopter. And the helicopter is smaller than the pirate ship.
So basically, Nathan and Sully fight their way out. Sully ends up getting in control of one of the helicopters. Nathan's, they get all the people off. And then Braddock, jumps on the boat with Nathan.
Well, there's this whole big fight scene between the 2 boats and the helicopters.
Yeah.
Because the Scotsman's flying one of the helicopters. And it's really dumb. They're just like crashing into each other. Everybody should be dead.
Yeah, there should be no way that this plane's still flying.
And so Nate loads a cannonball into the cannon and blows up the other helicopter. And this is where Braddock jumps onto theirs, drops the anchor, because she's like, look, if I lose, you lose. Because I'm a poor sport about this.
And Sully made a decision. He's like, do I take the gold, or do I work with Nathan? Or Nathan. Yeah, Nathan. I don't know what the fuck I saw his name. I said it out loud. I'm like,
you were thinking Peter Parker.
Yeah, I was thinking Peter Parker.
So he throws a bag of gold at Braddock's face. She falls off the boat. The boat falls off the helicopter, lands on top of her, sets sail for a little bit, and then sinks because it remembers, oh man, I'm an old boat.
Yeah.
And then then they fly off, and Nathan's like, look, here's a gold bar. Oh, look, here's another one, and here's a coin. Also, here's some gum. And Sully's like, I don't want that. And he throws it out the window. And
that's where we look down and we see Chloe looking up and going, you mother... she doesn't say it, but...
I think she calls them bastards.
I was like, Chloe, you fucked yourself on that one. You could have been part of this, but... Yeah, so then the movie ends. We get some stinger about some cartel.
It sounds like it's setting up the first game, the plot of the first game, except I don't think it's doing a very good job, because the main villain of the first game doesn't really know what the ring does, because I don't think Naughty Dog knew what the ring did. I think it was just a ring at the time, because it's more of the third game where the ring's important. But anyway, so they're setting up... It feels like they're setting up the first game.
And Sully finally got a mustache.
Yeah.
Basically, I think what happened is they looked at the Sonic movie and they're like, oh, well, Eggman gets into his outfit at the very end of the thing. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to, have the mustache and stuff like that.
And then, as they're pulling away from the bad guys, they turn around and they go, oh, shit! And then the movie just goes to credits.
So, opinion time. I enjoyed half of this movie, and the other half I was kind of like I was bored. But that's most movies. Once a movie goes from set to set to set to set to set, and what I mean by that is they go to different places, and it's just like, okay, let's just
done already. Find the damn treasure. I don't care.
But there's a scene on the boat when the theme song for the Uncharted series, it comes on. It's like, oh, that's really cool. And
that part was
nice. And then once one of the guys shoots a gun, then it just like stops, and it's like, oh, we have to have generic music again.
Back to the B-roll.
Chloe, I got tired of Chloe's. I know that she does that in the games, like betrays, but it's just like, really?
Yeah, no, she's up to like 5 betrayals now.
It's just like, oh my god! And I was like, why would you keep bringing her with you?
Like, if you count the games, she's up to like 5 or 6.
I'm like, Chloe, I think we can't hang out here. You keep betraying me. I could not get behind Mark Wahlberg as Sully, and that was before the movie came out. I've seen him. I'm like, he just does not look like.
Yeah, no, I was looking at that. I'm like, I'm not seeing Sully. If I close my eyes, I'm just seeing Mark Wahlberg. I can't hear
him. I can't see him. It's just a terrible choice. What's his real name?
Tom
Tom Holland. Tom Holland does pretty good. I mean, the problem is I see more Peter Parker in Nathan Drake than I do, or not Nathan Drake, in Tom Holland than I do see Nathan Drake in Tom Holland.
Yeah, I think he was really channeling his Peter Parker for a lot of like the freak out scenes, I guess, like where he's panicking. He just sounded like Peter Parker.
Yeah,
like that's all I could hear. And I haven't actually seen any of the Tom Holland Spider-Mans.
Oh, interesting.
I've seen...
You've seen Peter Parker in Endgame and stuff
yeah,
like that.
in Infinity War and Endgame. So that's all the Tom Holland Spider-Man I have context for. But I feel like he's just Spider-Man in this movie.
Right.
Without the costume.
So now I'll let you kind of take the floor. Now, since you played all the games, majority of all the games, what's your overall opinion? Like your opinion of the movie and then what the games?
Well, it's not a good adaptation. I'm gonna put that out here now. It's not good because it tries to do an original story with set pieces from the games. And I shouldn't have to explain why that's not a good idea, because they set it up oh, Sam's really into Magellan, and that's not who he was into in the games. I don't even think he knew who Magellan was. He was all about that Avery. So the whole Sam plotline in this movie just felt like, hey, it kind of sounds like what 4 was about. Just kind of shove it in there. I told you earlier that it felt like this movie was written by somebody who had heard about the Uncharted franchise and not actually had any first-hand experience with it. But like, yeah, just I guess it's fine as its own movie if you just go, yeah, this isn't part of the Uncharted canon. This is just Uncharted, the alternate universe timeline.
Right.
So I guess if you look at it like that, it's fine. I guess. Yeah, it's fine. Like, it wasn't particularly interesting most of the time. And I think the only time I started to, like, feel anything like, oh man, this is kind of cool, is like when they bring up the Uncharted theme.
Right.
And then they stopped. And then that man got hit by a mountain. That was pretty great.
Yeah, there was a guy, he rolled right off, and it's like, okay, he's gonna fall in the water. But this fucking mountain just came out of nowhere, and you just hear like that.
Oh, you hear the crunch, and it was visceral.
I literally jumped. That was like a jump scare. I was like, oh, because I was not expecting that.
That was probably my favorite part of the movie.
And Jacob did read this. Now, and I'll quote read it because I never looked at it. I never looked at the cover. The perfect adventure movie to watch with the whole family.
Yeah.
Sitting there with your 6-year-old, and he's just. Boy. I honestly, I told Jacob, because all the games are rated T. I'm like, I would not picture Uncharted as a family game. Especially if they drop shit like 4 or 5 times in this movie, which I don't care. You know, it doesn't bother me with shit, but especially after you point out that Nathan is famously for saying "oh crap."
Yeah, his catchphrase is "oh crap" just to keep the T rating.
So, anything else you got on it, or
not particularly? The most I can say is it was fine. It was watchable.
So we'll do the ratings. I honestly I give it a 3 out of 5. It's like it's interesting half the time, and then the other half is it's boring. But that's most like if I watch a live action Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones, you know, it's and you brought up James Bond. James Bond also. It's just like when it goes from set to set to set to set to set, it's like okay, it's starting to get boring.
I think after playing the games and watching this, I'd give it a 2.
Okay.
If I had gone in blind, maybe a 3. But knowing how the games are portrayed and whatnot, it just felt like a cash grab to me. Like, look, we've got the license, we've got the names. Here it is.
The other thing too, I find funny is how companies do this thing now, where they're like, "Hey, at the very beginning of the movie, none of the opinions in this movie are part of part of Sony's beliefs or whatever." And so it's funny because this is a Sony property. So it's like, you license it out. It's ran by your company. Well, I don't think they license it out, but they have Sony working on it.
Yeah.
Plus some companies. So it's like, yeah, it is. I mean, okay. In reality, don't fucking go to a movie for saying something. Like, that's just stupid. But, I mean, yeah, it is your opinion. Or not opinion, but, who gives a shit. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and tune back next week.
Oh, boy.